It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. So, several weeks ago, I announced my candidacy for President of the United States. And it was kind of a joke and kind of not a joke, sort of all at once. I really think everybody should run for president. That's really where it is. We all need to be president of the United States. And I'm not really joking about that. We all need to take that leadership role. Now, let me explain what I mean here. I've been thinking quite a lot about this because after I announced my candidacy, I had a really hard time coming up with a campaign with platform positions because stopping me at every turn was the whole idea of a president. We can't look for a leader to save us. That's not how it's going to happen. Each one of us has to take the power that we already have. Originally, my plan was to lay out my policy proposals and plans and philosophy each week on this program, and that would be my campaign. But I never really got around to doing that because of this sort of internal struggle of how to do that. You know how you can have a great idea or what you think is a great idea, and then when you try to explain it to someone, when you try to actually say it out loud, it just doesn't come out. Well, that means you haven't thought it through enough. So I realized it wasn't an easy thing to admit that I hadn't really thought this through. By announcing my candidacy and planning a campaign, I was sort of turning my back on my truest underlying philosophy, which is anarchism, social anarchy. Now, I don't want this to be, although maybe someone should at some point give us a real lesson on what that is. I don't really feel equipped to do that right now. Maybe that's something I should really work on. For the time being, I'll point you to Emma Goldman, who is someone I admire, a great writer and activist of her time. If you don't know Emma Goldman, just look up Emma Goldman and social anarchy. See, anarchy gets a really bad name because with any ism, anarchism, socialism, communism, capitalism, all the isms get defined more by their enemies than by their advocates. And no greater example than anarchism, defined by its enemies as chaos and lawlessness, to the point where the great majority of people hear that word, and that's the immediate connection they make. So again, I don't want to get into a professorial lecture on political theory here. That's not what I want to do. But I will encourage you to read Emma Goldman. The very idea of running for president incorporates some things that I just don't agree with. So that's why I was struggling. And one of those is, as I've mentioned, somehow you have a leader who's going to save us or lead us into something better. The anarchist in me says, no, it's not about leaders. It's about us. It's about all of us. It's about each individual exercising the power that we already have. Which brings me to the second problem of running for president. It's always something in the future. Okay, well, the election is we're 1 year away from the election. So we'll exercise that power through another person, but not for a year. And hoping that you get the Congress that you need, and then it's another couple of months until they take office, and then it's the slow slog of passing legislation. And we're always 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 steps removed from the power that we seek. So the whole idea of running for president just kind of soured in me. You hear all the time, I'm sure you have people like this in your circle, who'll say, there's only now, there's only the moment. Past and future mean nothing, there's only the present. It's kind of a spiritual thing, kind of this quasi-religious notion that a lot of us have a hard time wrapping our heads around. And then they bring in quantum physics and all that sort of stuff, the Deepak Chopra angle of trying to use physics and science to prove this spiritual weird idea. And okay, fine, there's only the now. Well, I'm going to agree with them for the moment, but I'm going to put it in a different context. I want to put it into a political context. Politically speaking, and by politics I mean, of course, the exercise of power. Well, I'm going to agree. There is only now. There is only the present. So you can't think of power as something that you want to gain. It's all about gaining and holding that power. If you don't have it, you want it. If you have it, then you want to keep it. But that's the fallacy. If there's only now, we have the power now. We don't have to go get it. We just have to exercise it. We have to use it. We have to claim it. We have the power right now in this moment. If only we would recognize that fact and act accordingly. There is not a president or a prime minister powerful enough to deny the billions of people on this planet the power they hold if they were only to exercise it. There's not a law, there's not an army on this planet with more power than the people. Presidents and armies and corporations have created this labyrinth of smoke and mirrors that make it appear we have no power. We've been hypnotized. We've been bamboozled, to borrow Malcolm X's famous word. Hoodwinked and bamboozled. We have the power. And that's why I say there's only now. Because if we do it today, or if we do it tomorrow, or if we do it a year from now, or 10 years from now, we're all going to look at each other and say, wait a minute, we had this power all the while. Why didn't we do it? We are Dorothy and her ruby slippers. All she had to do was click her heels. She had the power the whole time and just didn't know it. Well, it's time for us to click our heels. Now, as much as I believe this, as much as I believe it, I also understand our fear, our reticence, our unwillingness to act, because it does require action. And here's the kicker, and here's what the powerful know about the situation, that it really only works if enough people join hands and take the power together. We need to reach that tipping point when hundreds of millions of individuals decide together to take the power. Because when we are divided by race and divided by borders and divided by income, we fear for our own well-being if we act. Because the fact is, they can put you in jail. They can take away your livelihood. It only works if we have this sort of Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. No, I am Spartacus. No, I am Spartacus. There you go. Now the power is gone. We need that Spartacus moment. If and when I decide to resurrect my presidential campaign, which is currently in limbo, currently on hiatus because of all these doubts and questions I've been having. Well, let's say I find a way to rationalize or to justify my run for the presidency. All right, let's say that happens. Let's say I'm elected. Great, okay. Now, it's January of 21. I'm standing up at the podium with the Supreme Court Chief Justice. And I've got my left hand on Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and I've got my right hand in the air, and I take the oath, and now I am president. At that moment, I would like to hear shouts from the assembled. I am president. I am president. No, I am president. No, I am president. I am president. And across the nation, simultaneously, every single person, I am president. That's what I would want. And then I'll go into the Oval Office and I'll hold that spot for you. I'll be your avatar. But you're the president, and you're the president, and you're the president. So if elected, that's my promise to you. I will physically walk into that Oval Office, and I'll occupy it. But every breath I take and every move I make will be in service to only one thing, and that is to recognize your power. But once again, I want to reiterate, I want to emphasize the fact that there is only the now. So you don't really need me. For the time being, I'll keep the campaign going, in as much as it is going, as kind of a fail-safe. And then a year from now, if I'm still needed, then I will take office and I will advocate for your power. I will use that bully pulpit for that. So I suppose by thinking out loud about this, which, by the way, is an exercise I recommend. Think out loud about things. Find a friend or a mate who will be a good partner in this kind of exercise, or at least indulge you. Just listen, at least. But, talk out loud about ideas that you're struggling with. It's a really good way to find some answers. Not ultimate answers, usually, but answers. Movement. It's why people journal. That's one of the great reasons for journaling. So thank you for indulging me in my little, what's turned out to be a campaign speech here.
If I were president,
for the time being, at least, I've decided to keep this campaign rolling along, and under the conditions I've just described, where we all commit our lives and our fortunes
if I were president,
to recognizing and exercising the power that we all have right now, then I will hold that spot for you. And I will be your avatar. I will be your servant
If I were president,
as you exercise that power. All right, fire up the campaign bus. Charles Purcell, 2020.
If I were president, if I were president, I'd have a cure that would work right for those who couldn't sleep at night. The time they stayed awake would be well spent. If I were president.
So right then, okay? After work, you go out to the bar and see your friends and hang out and watch the ball game and talk, like you do. Like I came around to watch the ball game the other day, and everybody's acting so funny. Like one thing's wrong or another thing's wrong. They're complaining about something or other, politics or their job, or everybody's just. And then they have a few drinks, and now the laughter starts, and it's all so dopey and silly. And I find my problem is I have a hard time relating to any of it. I come in, I just want to have a few, friendly exchanges with some folks and see some people. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Sit alone in your house all night long? You can, that's a nice thing to do occasionally. It's nice to just hang out especially if you have a nice place to live. And by nice place, I don't mean, rich and fancy or nothing, but just, a place that you like, that's your own, that home feeling. Sure, it's a great feeling, but you can't do it every dang night of the week. You gotta go out and see people and have some, kind of human contact, right? So, all right, so I go out and, but I just find myself so often disappointed. I guess I'm still maybe looking for the people I can relate to. I think I'm still looking because, like I say, they're complaining and being all negative and putting people down that aren't around, talking smack about people who aren't even there, Sometimes that's how people bond with each other, by ripping on other people who aren't there. So I was very disappointed in that. I'm trying to participate in the conversation, but mostly I'm just sitting there feeling worse and worse. And that's, not why I came out. I came out to have some, like I say, some human contact and feel better. And then, I'm not really a drinker at all. I go to the bar just because there's people there and the ball game's on TV. I don't pay for no cable or satellite or nothing like that. That's a big waste of money. If I want to see a ball game, I just go out to the, over to the corner place, So yeah, like conversation's all negative, and I just concentrate on the game for a while, but that's not going very well. And then I'm thinking too, well, geez, that's not why I'm here. I could, I came out to be with people, so I keep trying. But then as the evening wears on, just acting so goofy. You ever been the one person in a group who's not drinking and everybody else is? What's worse than that? That's crazy. That's the opposite of fun or a good time, because you just see how terrible everybody's becoming, and they are. And this one woman who just always kind of latches onto me, and she starts telling her stories. Oh goodness, there's nothing worse than a story that just I'm not interested. I try to be, and I try to, and she makes something that's supposed to be funny. She says something, and then I try to laugh. Oh gosh, what is worse than fake laughter? And to just try to keep a smile on your face when she's just talking about the most stupid and boring things. And it's like, okay, good for you. I guess you're interested, but I'm sorry. I'm making my best effort to be interested in you, but gosh almighty, you're just kind of a big old, boring kind of person, and you got nothing interesting or original to say. Oh, speaking of interesting or original, that's the other thing that comes out in these situations. People just, they rely so heavily on just cliches and so-called common wisdom, or whatever you call it, when everybody kind of believes the same thing, and they don't know what they're talking about, especially, oh gosh, if it gets into politics, then I just really shut up, because people just, they've got their opinions that they just grabbed from the, from their news feed or from their stupid cable show that they watch. I don't care if it's right or left. I'm a lefty, but, these stupid shows. And it really is so clear to me when people have no idea what they're talking about except what they got from some, talking head on a show. And they just kind of repeat what they heard, and they present it as though it's an original thought, right? So here I am at the corner bar trying so hard to relate. And I guess the conclusion I came to after, it's been years I've been trying different places. I just gotta find your, what they call find your tribe. You ever heard that expression? I don't know if that's, it just means that, you find people who you can relate to and who you feel comfortable with, and you share interests, and it's not like you have to all be the same. No, there should be diversity. That's a good thing. But at least you gotta be somehow, I don't know, on the same page, at least kind of interested, and you gotta feel like that you're being fulfilled in some way, or you're learning in some way, or you're relating to them, and maybe you got something to offer that they are ready to accept and to listen to. See, that's the other thing. Oh gosh, in this regular old kind of corner bar setting that I'm talking about, the things that I'm interested in and the kind of conversations I'd like to have, there's no place there's no room for that in at the corner bar. So if you feel that way, I don't know what to tell you, because I feel that way and I keep trying. I know it's pretty silly. So what do? People say, keep trying different experiences. Go to the library, or go to take a dance class or something. Take some sort of adult education. Or maybe other people say, well, go to a church. Of course, I'm an atheist, we're all atheists around here. But, you can go to the Unitarian church. They like having atheists. There are lots of atheists over there. So you could do that. And there's a way to, again, find your tribe. So I wish you luck if you're still looking, because I know I'm still looking. And mostly, it's the tribe thing, and it's also like I started with the being negative. Some people just really like to be negative for some reason. I don't know. I'm sure there's some psychological reasons for that. I don't know. It's it's more than I know that I can say. But I wish you luck in finding your tribe and being your whole self out there in the world with other people. And if you're one of these folks who are just, every word out of your mouth is a cliche or some, opinion that you didn't come up with, you just heard on your favorite dopey show. If you're one of these people, well, number one, I'm sure you don't think you are. So if you're listening right now, even if you are one of those people, you're thinking, whoa, he's not talking about me. In fact, you're probably saying, oh, yeah, I agree. Oh, people are so dumb and dopey. Have some self-awareness. Try that for once, eh? Okay, so don't mean to talk down to anybody. I wish everybody the best. I love y'all. And even the ones who are the worst offenders of this kind of, lifestyle, I wish you the very best, and I hope you'll find, some deeper truths in your life. I hope you do, because you're not displaying them out in public. Maybe you have them at home with your significant other, or maybe with your kids or your parents, or I don't know, you got friends outside of, the ones I see. So I hope that's the case. I hope you're finding, some sort of enrichment to your life, but you're certainly not showing it when I see you out in public. You're showing just the opposite. You're showing this trivial, silly, goofy kind of life. So anyway, I love you. I really do. I wish you the best, and I love you. And I hope you find what you're looking for, because I'm out there looking too. All right then. See ya.
It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell, and in my on-again, off-again run for the presidency, I guess I'm on again. But there are some other people running for president as well. This past week, we saw the latest Democratic debate, and I got together with Chuck and Chucky. We watched the debate together and then sat down and decided to make our list from top to bottom of who we liked. So let's bring in Chuck and Chucky. Of course, that's Uncle Chuck. Hi, Uncle Chuck. Well, hello there, Charles Purcell. And Chucky Bucky.
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
So the three of us got together, watched the debate, and thought it was time to weigh in with the listeners, let you know our thoughts. First, a disclaimer. I am not a Democrat.
Yeah.
Democrats are capitalists.
Yep.
I'm a social anarchist. I'm not a Democrat, but I don't hate the Democrats. I do pretty much hate the Republicans at this point. The two parties are not the same, as my radical comrades believe.
Right.
I get a lot of pushback from my radical friends that, they're all capitalists, they're all corporate apologists, they're all the same, in cahoots with each other. Oh, yes, of course, we hear that all the time. And
sure.
As idealistic as we sometimes can be, we can play the lovey-dovey card too, right? In that we don't want to demonize everybody. We understand that we live in the real world and...
Oh, sure. Right.
Right, yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't hate the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. None of us here are Democrats. But to put the two parties in the same boat, that's just dopey and wrong.
Yep. All right. So having said that, if you are a Democrat, you've got to be pretty happy with the candidates, I would think. With the candidates themselves, with the issues they're talking about, with the plans they're putting forward.
Oh, sure.
Yes, I would.
Yep.
You should really ought to be pretty happy, I would think, at this point. And you got to remember, too, that you're voting not just for the person at the top of the ticket. You're voting for an entire branch of government. The entire executive branch is what you're voting for. It's not just the one at the top there.
That's right. And this is a large and powerful team of actors you got here. You should be happy, Democrats. I think you should be happy with the team you got right now, with the strength of your lineup. I mean, right? One of them's going to be the nominee, obviously. And one of them, from the people we saw this week, one of them is going to be their running mate.
Yes, absolutely. I think so too. And all of them, every one of them, should continue in public service at a high level in one role or another. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
So let's talk about, we just want to mention a couple little thoughts about the debate, and then we'll get to our list. The moderators, CNN and the New York Times moderated this. No climate crisis questions at all from the moderators, which was disappointing.
Oh, that was terrible.
It was.
I couldn't believe it. Not one goddamn question about climate crisis.
Nope.
The most important thing in the whole darn world. And they did it again.
Yeah.
What is with these corporate media types?
I don't know. I was very disappointed as well. We talked about this at the time. There were just a few passing comments from the candidates themselves. I think most of them brought it up at least once in the context of another question, but then they moved right on. No in-depth conversation at all about the climate crisis. Well, I suppose CNN thought they did their due diligence with their what was it, a 9-hour, 11-hour forum?
I think it was 9.
On climate crisis. So, good for them. I guess that went pretty well. Yeah, I suppose it did, and maybe that's right. Maybe they thought they did their job with that.
The one time.
Still pretty disappointing that it didn't come up in the debate with any kind of depth. Well, speaking of the media, I do want to give them a little credit. They did a much better job moderating this debate. They weren't blatantly trying to pick fights. It's still, it's still part of the dynamic, but it was in fact, it was much better than it has been before.
Yep.
I would say so. Yes, that's true. The questions were straightforward, and they weren't gotcha questions, or they weren't questions designed to make headlines necessarily. I agree. They did a much better job.
But then, you look at right as soon as it's over, they go right to the analysis, folks. And then the next day, of course, reporting on it. Then, they do the same old thing. They go into the highlights are the ones where they're yelling at each other and where there's conflict.
Oh, yeah.
And that's still the way news kind of works, and it's still not what it should be.
Yeah.
So, like we always say, turn off your dang TVs. Don't even watch the TV at all.
Right. Well, of course, you want to watch the event itself. That's how I try to use television. I use it as a primary source. When there's something actually happening that is being televised, then that's great. Switch on your television or your computer or whatever and watch. But no, you're right. The talking heads, the pundits, still want to just create drama and conflict for the sake of ratings. And we've talked about this so many times.
Right?
Oh, sure we have. And yes, that's still a problem, and it will remain a problem until we can make big systemic changes to the way the world works. That's what we really want. That's why we're not Democrats. We're what'd you say you are, Charles Purcell, a social anarchist? Yeah. And again, labels are dangerous, but there you go. What else about? Oh, you know what? No more questions about age. It came up a little bit. Thankfully, it didn't last too long. Nobody's too young. Nobody's too old. Just take that whole question off the table entirely. We don't need that.
I agree.
So anything else to say about this week's debate? Not so much, except it was. I was impressed. Pretty much a substantive debate.
Yeah.
Lots of issues came up. Lots of clear policy initiatives came up. I was generally pleased, and as we said, if you're a Democrat, you should be happy today.
Yep,
I think.
you should.
You got a good field.
Yep.
So, shall we get to our leaderboard here?
Sure, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yes, all right. So, what we're going to do here is some quick thoughts on the Democratic field, and we're going to limit it to the people on the stage this week. There are others running, I don't even remember their names right in the moment, who did not make the debate, and that's fine. They should just go on to other things.
Yep, they should go on to other things, and we'll talk about our own kind of rankings from the current field, like you say, the ones who were on the TV the other night.
All right, let's do this. And before we begin, let me say, every one of these candidates will move the political center nationally, and that's great with me.
If they're elected, you mean?
That's a badly needed correction.
Yeah.
The center has been shifting right consistently for the last 4 decades. Yeah. So this is a badly needed correction. I'll say that all of them are competent. There's not one up there this week that I thought was a joke or, didn't belong. They're all competent people. And any one of them would be so much better, obviously, than Agent Orange.
Oh,
of
gosh
course.
almighty. Any
Of course.
goddamn one of them would be a bagazillion times better than Agent Orange. You got to get that guy, right? Oh, sure.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so first on the list. Again, we're going from the bottom to the top of the leaderboard. So our least favorite, and again, Chuck and Chucky and I got together and we made this list together. So this is our consensus.
Yeah, we didn't fight too much. A little bit maybe, but
Well, a little bit.
no, pretty much. Okay, this is what we came up with together.
All right, number 1, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. He's at the bottom of our list. The one we'd least like to see get the nomination. And it's not because he is old, it's because his ideas are old. Right?
Yep, that's what we came up with. And what else? Oh, Trump will have him for breakfast in the debates. I think that Joe would not do well debating Agent Orange. Nope.
Right? And he will, Biden, if nominated, will destroy the young and independent voter turnout. I think he'll create a lack of excitement, dismay, a malaise among voters. And the bottom line, we believe he will lose to Agent Orange.
Yes.
Now, if he's nominated, I hope I'm wrong, because Agent Orange has to go. Okay, next is Tom Steyer. Uncle Chuck, you want to talk about Tom Steyer? Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. I like that he understands that corporate power over our government is the central issue that defines all other issues. So that's good. That's a good thing about Tom Steyer. And climate crisis and impeachment are his 2 signature causes. And by all appearances, he seems to be sincere and well-versed and hardworking. So good for him. But having billions of dollars, he is a billionaire. I don't know. Having billions of dollars, I think makes you a little crazy. You could see it in his eyes.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, Tom Steyer there.
All right, good. Next on our list, as we work our way up, Amy Klobuchar. Chucky, you want to take this one?
Okay, Amy Klobuchar. You know what? She's fine, and she's a fine and competent person by all appearances. I would put it this way. In the kind of world she wants to live in, she'd be a fine and competent president. But, she wouldn't excite anyone. Voter turnout would be low. I think Trump would beat her. She probably, you know what though? If Agent Orange is impeached, I bet she would beat Pence. So there's that. But no, she's pretty low on our list.
All right, good. Next is Beto O'Rourke. I'll take this one. He kind of reminds me of me. That is a little too passionate, speaks honestly and off the cuff. Like, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15s. Drops the F-bomb over the issue of mass shootings, which is appropriate.
Sure it is.
But loose talk doesn't really get you anywhere. It just, I don't know, it just chases people to their corners. I don't think he's got the chops for the job. I guess he's sincere and all that, but he's like the lanky kid you put in the basketball game because he's tall. But then he just flails around the court and doesn't really have any real skills for the game. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, good guy, and should be in public office, should hold leadership roles, and whatever role he winds up in, that's great. He's a good guy. We like him. But no, he's low on our list for president. All right, next is Julian Castro. Chucky?
I got nothing bad to say about Julian Castro. I got nothing bad to say about him. I got nothing good to say about him either. I mean, whatever good can be said for him, well, those same qualities could be found in many of the other candidates. He's just not really standing out. He would make a fine, boring president, I would say. Not much would get done, but, the place wouldn't burn down. So he's not very high on our list.
Okay, Cory Booker. Let's see, Uncle Chuck, you want to take this one? Okay, Cory Booker, a perfectly good guy. He's in the mold of modern politicians. And yes, he takes money from corporate donors. I mean, they all do, except for Bernie and Warren, of course. He's not the greatest debater, and I think that's a problem for him. I mean, first, you have to win the nomination, and debates are a big part of that. And then you have to debate Trump. And if you happen to get past that and win the presidency, well, every day is an exercise in debate and persuasion. I mean, that's what a president does all day, every day. You have to make your case, both to the public and behind closed doors to members of Congress and on the world stage. You've got to be persuasive. And Cory Booker doesn't really persuade me of anything, except that he's a good guy. I got no problems with him. He's a corporate guy, but like I said, they all are. We are having this conversation within that sort of limited scope. Yes, and it's worth repeating and making sure we're clear about this. This is a relative conversation within that spectrum represented by the current candidates for the Democratic nomination.
Right.
That's how we're making our ranking. We're not scoring these candidates on a universal scale of the full political spectrum that is possible, just within the limits of the current candidates. Okay. Oh, let's see. Tulsi Gabbard. We had an interesting conversation about her. Chucky, what do you think about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, yes, as we spoke, I guess we decided, again, she's smart. They're all pretty smart. She seems pretty smart. And she seems tough. That's kind of her calling card, her toughness. I'd really like to see her tear into Trump in the debates. She'd probably do pretty well, I think, in the debates with Trump. She wants to make her military experience like her biggest calling card. Okay, so fair enough. I don't think it's quite enough. No, she says, and she said the other night, she says commander-in-chief is the most important job the president has. Well, is it? Yeah, maybe so. She can maybe make a case for that. And if so, then yeah, she does make a good case for herself. And if you accept the idea that the job of commander-in-chief is the single most important job of a president, well, then that eliminates several of the candidates on that most recent debate stage. I don't know who you'd put, for commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
If that is the most important job, maybe she is the one, along with maybe Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete. And then, Kamala Harris tried to make a point that she's served on several committees.
Yeah, Homeland Security.
That's not always too convincing, to serve on committees, but, you do have an understanding. I don't know. So anyway, there's Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay, Andrew Yang, I'd love to talk. Okay, let me take this one. Andrew Yang, I love this guy. Now, again, yes, he's a capitalist. It's all relative. We talked about that. But here's what I love about Andrew Yang. He appears to be not just the only candidate, but the only person in America who understands that we have a future, that the future is here. He understands the need for political and economic change that's being forced by technology and automation and AI and all of that. At some point, his UBI will be a fact in this country, universal basic income. He calls it the freedom dividend. He wants to give $1,000 a month to every person in America. At some point, that's just going to be a given. There's going to be no way around it. That's just going to happen. So I love the fact that he seems to understand that we have a future. So I like Andrew Yang a lot. I don't know if he'd make a great president. Probably not. But I will say this. Whoever is elected needs a whole lot of Andrew Yangs around the table, in the room, in the administration. I like Andrew Yang. I really, really do.
That reminds me. Just a side note, okay? She's not on our list, but Marianne Williamson. Okay, just a little side note, if you'd allow me that.
Sure, okay.
I really missed her this time around. Of course, she's completely unqualified to be president. But she brought one thing to the debates that I liked. A holistic view of the issues. She was unique in this. Like you say, Yang seems to be the only one to acknowledge the future. Williams was the only candidate to point out how all of the issues that they were debating are interrelated. She's got that holistic thing going. Whatever the issue, from racism or reproductive rights or corporate greed, healthcare, trade, immigration, guns, war and peace, all of it. She has this way of connecting the particulars to the whole in a way I think it's really valuable. See, I would like to see all the candidates, in fact, everybody in public office, I'd like to see them try to take that broader view, to see the connections, to connect the dots, to see the whole, to see the patterns. It's a really good quality to have, I think. So I missed Marianne Williamson. I think she brought that unique perspective, and I missed her.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Oh, okay, now we're getting down to it here. Let's see, the final four.
Final four.
We've got to our final four.
All right.
Andrew Yang was number 5. We're counting our way down to number 1. At number 4, Uncle Chuck. Well, at number 4, it's our good friend Mayor Pete.
Mayor Pete.
Yes, Pete Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Smart guy. Oh, my goodness. If elected, I think he'd be the smartest president since Obama. And I thought that would be a long wait. When Obama stepped down from office, I thought it'll be a long time before we see anybody that smart again. Just a quick, bright, smart person. Now, you mentioned age earlier. I have no problem with his age at all. Take that off, as you said, take that off the table. No trouble with his age. And unlike the other candidates we've mentioned so far, he would absolutely destroy Trump in the debates. I think he would have him for lunch.
Yep, with dessert.
I would love to see that. The other thing going for him is he would excite young and independent voters, I believe. Now, he's way too moderate for me. I'm much further to the left of him, politically speaking, on the issues. But from my vantage point, he's not that far removed from the others we've mentioned so far. So what the heck? So Mayor Pete, I think, is a fine person and could be just a fine president, I believe. And again, he would make Trump just look foolish in a debate. I think he would wipe the floor with him. All right, Kamala Harris comes next. She's number 3 on our list. Yeah, she's kind of in the Beto, Castro, Booker camp in that she's basically center-left relative to the crowd. She accepts corporate donations, which none of us like. But again, that's most of them. Here's where she stands out. She stands out from that group with her kind of righteous activist lawyer, all about justice vibe, which is really nice.
Oh yeah.
And like the others in the top 4, she would eviscerate Trump in the debates. I really believe that. And she would excite voters. So the people in our top 4 have to meet those 2 qualifications. They have to trounce Trump in the debates, and they have to excite voters. I think she would do both. We talked about this, and we had Harris and Buttigieg kind of toggling between 3rd and 4th. They're very close. So she's right there with Mayor Pete in our top 3, but not by that much. That's right. Yes, we had Mayor Pete and Kamala Harris very close. Well, Kamala Harris winds up in the number 3 position. Okay, getting down to it. Number 2. Chucky Bucky, you want to reveal this one?
Okay, so as we're counting up here to the Democrats we like best on that debate stage, number 2, drum roll please, Elizabeth Warren. Okay, before I say anything else, she needs to answer the damn question on Medicare for All, taxes versus costs. I don't know why she just can't see it. She refuses to say it, and it makes her look bad.
So that's the...
Okay, so without getting into the whole thing, Medicare for All, so what happens is you pay nothing at all. You pay no deductibles.
Right.
You pay no premiums. You pay no out-of-pocket anything. Everything's absolutely paid for. But then, of course, you pay taxes that then pay for that. But the taxes are far, far lower than what you would pay out of pocket for the insurance stuff, right? So you come out way, way ahead. But she just is afraid to say that out loud because she's afraid, I guess, somebody will take that soundbite. Oh, your taxes will go up.
Yeah.
Well, your taxes will go up. But compared to the expenses, your costs for healthcare coming down, it's not even close. You're going to save so much money. So I wish she would just figure out a way to answer that question.
Yeah, she needs to.
Okay, so with that, so here's the dope on Elizabeth Warren. Like Bernie, she's accepting no corporate donations at all. These two are the only ones. All the rest of them are. And she's calling out the other candidates for doing it, for taking corporate donations. She's tough as nails. You know, I believe her. She says she's a fighter. That's the kind of the persona she wants to display. I don't know if I'm a sucker or not, but I believe her. I think she is.
Yeah.
Her mistake is that, of course, that she still believes we can tame, this Frankenstein's monster of capitalism. She's wrong about that, but they're all wrong about that. So again, relatively speaking, she's much, much better than the others. She talks about accountable capitalism, which is kind of a joke. But again, this is from our, social anarchist perspective. Relative to the crowd, she's right where she needs to be. She's the best in that regard. So, of course, we're far to her left, but she is far to the left of the other candidates, except for our number one spot. And I guess all the drama is gone now. We know who it is by process of elimination.
Sure.
It is.
Here it comes. All right. It is. It is. Bernie Sanders, of course. We talk about Bernie a lot, but, let's just bottom line Bernie, okay? 1, the most accurate diagnosis of the problems, income, wealth inequality, corporate power, etc. 2, the only candidate to call for a political revolution, which is exactly right. Green New Deal, healthcare is a right, free college tuition, student debt relief, rein in the corporations, big banks, big pharma, big ag. Every plank on Bernie's platform speaks to that. Labor rights, all of it. Number 3, call me naive, call me a sucker, but I trust him. I trust him completely. We are very careful here. I am very careful to never have a hero because they always disappoint you. But I got to say, I trust him. I mean, what else can the guy do? A lifetime dedicated to justice, on the front lines, every day of his life. Yep. 4, and here we get to the practicalities of politics. He will excite the electorate.
No doubt.
He leads the pack by double digits with voters under 50. I saw a poll the other day. It wasn't even close. He leads all other Democratic candidates with voters under 50.
Double digits.
So he'll get the youth vote, he'll get people of color, non-voters, new voters, and even, we've talked about this before on the program, even those who voted for Trump last time because they wanted to quote-unquote blow things up. Well, Bernie's a blow things up kind of a guy. They're going to love that. They're going to love having that option. Now, he may not accomplish everything that he's calling for. I mean, few presidents do. No presidents do. But he will move the country. He'll move that political center that we talked about, which is really very badly needed.
Okay, so there's our list.
There it is.
There's our list. And
All
counting
right.
down from 1 to whatever.
So recap that for us.
So it's Bernie Sanders on top. Then it's Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Mayor Pete. Those are the top 4. Then next comes Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, and Cory Booker, and Julian Castro.
So they're the middlings.
And then at the bottom, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, Tom Steyer, and Joe Biden at the very bottom.
There it is.
Okay.
So guys, you want to predict now? Should we get into that game? Predict what? Who the winner is going to be? Yeah, and not only that, but the ticket. Let's predict the ticket just for fun. Okay. Well, I think it's pretty clear it's going to be either Bernie or Elizabeth Warren at the top of the ticket. It's going to be one of the two.
I'd agree with that. Bernie or Elizabeth Warren. I think the two of them are going to fight it out to the end, and one of them will be the nominee.
Okay, so if it's let's say it's Bernie. Who is Bernie's running mate? Well, there are 3. I would say 3 possibilities here. I think Elizabeth Warren, a Bernie Warren ticket would be fine by me.
Yeah, that'd be good, except, I don't know. They might not, because they're both up there, right? They're both old. So I would say, you said there were 2 others?
Yes, Harris and Buttigieg. Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg.
Now, there you go. Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris ticket or a Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg ticket. Now you're talking. That's the more likely, I would say. I would say one of those. Because, and probably Harris having the advantage, and I hate to say this, we don't want to put, the whole identity politics thing, but, the fact that she's an African-American woman would make a difference making that decision, politically speaking.
Yeah, you're probably right. So if Bernie's at the top of the ticket, we think likely Kamala Harris. Right. Elizabeth Warren as number 2 or Pete Buttigieg as number 2 would be fine by me. But you're right. If we're making predictions, I think Kamala Harris would be the one to beat. And as we said earlier, I don't think they go outside the field to get a running mate. I think the running mate comes from inside the field. Okay, so what if Warren is at the top of the ticket? Is Bernie number 2? Oh, no,
not at all.
No, I agree. That would not happen. I can't see that. I can't imagine that at all. Bernie as a vice presidential candidate. It's just not.
Well, me neither.
It's not
going to happen.
I can't see it.
That would not happen.
So then we're back to Harris and Buttigieg for the same reasons we cited?
Yes, I would say so. Looking over the list. Nobody else, Castro, maybe Julian Castro. I would be disappointed if that were the case. He's kind of a boring guy, as I said earlier. Now, I would personally really like to see. Now, Warren Harris would be really great because it's an all-woman, it's an all-female ticket, which would be historic and just fine by me, and long overdue.
Sure, yeah.
I like Warren Buttigieg, and I bet you know why I'm smiling.
I do. I do know why. Let me guess.
Okay.
I know why you're smiling.
I think I got this, yeah.
The vice presidential debate.
Right.
Buttigieg versus Pence. Oh, that would be something to watch, wouldn't it? Boy, that'd be just fine. I'd love to see that.
The more I think about it, who's ever at the top, Warren or Bernie, maybe it's time. Yeah, maybe we should put Buttigieg. Yeah, a Warren Buttigieg ticket sounds pretty good to me. We love Bernie, but that would be a heck of a ticket.
Yes, and having Buttigieg in the vice presidential debate against Pence, wow, that would be must-see TV right there. Okay, so there's our top to bottom list where things stand right now with the Democratic nomination. Thanks, boys. Thank you, Charles Purcell.
Okay, then. Hey there, hi there, over there.
Uncle Chuck and Chucky Bucky, collectively known, of course, as Chuck and Chucky. It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. A few minutes left in the program, and I asked Uncle Chuck to stick around here with us because we'd like to end the show today with some of your poetry. Yes, that's right. Unbeknownst to many, Uncle Chuck is a long-standing poet, and we thought we'd have you share some poems with us. Well, that's fine. Be happy to. All right, so accompanied by our own musical director, Peter Donalds, here are some poems performed by Uncle Chuck. Bones dry in patterns. Bones dry in patterns. The clack of hail bounces on the desert floor. Childhood rhymes flow through the primrose gardens. Nothing. Something. I grope under my seat for the fallen raisin, raising my eyes to the horizon where patterns thrust, church bells din. Flow is forever stopped like forgotten tracks. Tracks of wood and steel forged by the sun, son of my fathers, fathers of the Confederacy, lifted by cranes, deposited in crates, their bones dry in patterns. Stepping carefully by cliff's edge. Stepping carefully by cliff's edge, where unattended children push and dance. Dread and delight share the stage. .247. Aches and pains, stress and strains of ages call. Merrily, ladies go for coffee. The microwave smells like broccoli. Black ground sprinkled by golden remnants. King Gravity bleats his low command. Phones chirp, windows glare, knees buckle rising. .247. A patch of silent clover. A patch of silent clover encircled by mystery. Unknown flyers and those who would consume them. Squirrels, rabbits, and the telltale divots of last night's dinner guest. Take me with you where you will go. Give me sustenance, relief from woe. My portal, my home. The time has come to find delight. The time has come to find delight. If only you will try to let your dreams and love take flight as you wave a fond goodbye. Travel with them where they may, let not your plans defer. Look them in the eye and say, I bow to you, good sir. Then, when fear begins to howl, stand your ground, my friend. The cruelest beast of tooth and jowl will not yet be your end. For you have come so far as this to reach what you deserve. Give a finger. Find your bliss. If you think you've got the nerve. Uncle Chuck, I didn't know you had it in you. That's nice. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Great way to end the day. And on piano, Peter Donalds, thank you. All right. Love it. Talk to you next week. This episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, iHeart, YouTube, and the podcast Source. Enter Charles Bursell Presents in the search window. Or best yet, go to charlesbursell.com. There you'll find this and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow, comment, and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Bursell.